Uh, Yo, hello. We are back with some more Hapymaher, but this time we are going down Keiko's route. And funnily enough, we have to start from save slot 4, which is this one, by having to resist. I mean, who would have guessed that you don't choose couldn't hold back for a Keiko route? But to be fair, with how I've, with how I've saved these slots, right, by going down Saki's route from slave slot 1 to 5, technically I can start from 5, but this is kind of meant to be quote-unquote guide-ish, and I am following the walkthrough, and it tells me to start at 4 because of the fact that there is the potential that you started on Yoyo's route, and the next save slot would have couldn't hold back as a previous option. Right, a very complicated way of me explaining this, but essentially what I'm trying to get at is, just for prosperity's sake, I guess, just to make sure, kind of thing, you would probably start on this option of having to resist. Alright, so enough rambling on, let's get into it. I mean, there's not really much that's going to change from these choices, so I'm just going to skip to I'm gonna show you me picking the options, and obviously I'm just going to skip to the next one if there isn't any unique dialogue in between. Just like with the last option, there isn't going to be anything unique about this one. Obviously, going down Keiko's route, you have to pick I didn't think of anyone. Alright, if I didn't go down Maya's route before this, there would be something different, but yeah. Now we will get to pick an option that will have unique stuff. Unique dialogue, I guess. Obviously, for Keiko, you have to pick the key to a guitar case. Not the guitar case, even though this is still technically meant to be quote-unquote Keiko's dream. So if the option said the guitar case, I think everyone would know exactly what guitar case that would be. But that's semantics at this point. Whatever. Let's get into it. I grabbed the guitar case key I had seen before. It was a small plain key, a plain key without a keychain or anything. If my guess was correct, then this had to be the key to Hirasaki's guitar case. Well, I don't see any other guitar cases around here, so...
そう、それを選ぶのね。どうしてかしら。理由なんてないのかしら。それとも気になっちゃったのかしら。
Very much so, yes. Listen, Maya, if I didn't go down anyone's routes before this, Keiko definitely wouldn't have been my first choice. Right? But her characterization in Saki's route definitely made me like her a lot. And those small fluff dialogue moments, before going down Maya's route also made me like her a bit more. Right? During the shopping part, I don't know how to describe it. Right, when they were fucking shopping for clothes so they could go to the party and save Saki or whatever. Maya, and then also after they came back from the North Pole and blah blah blah, whatever. Maya's grinning mouth disappeared, leaving only the sound of her teasing voice behind. Even if I extended my hand, I couldn't reach her now. More importantly, as soon as Maya was gone, the room looked like it would crumble at any moment, any minute. I feel like there should be a comma. as soon as Maya was gone, but sure. Will this even work? I hardly flew to the only decent door I could see. There was no way I was going to fall down there. But I was holding the guitar case key. No matter how you look at it, it didn't fit the lock on the doors. But the room was collapsing. There was no time to wait. Okay, quite a few typos already. There was no time to wait. Please open. The size didn't match, so the key wouldn't really fit into the lock. With the room collapsing, the sound of me panicking echoed even louder. Damn it. My hands were slippery, but I somehow got the key in. I turned the lock until I heard a click. Before the room crumbled completely, I somehow jumped through the doors. For a moment, I felt a floating sensation. When that ended, I was in front of the train station on a weeknight. It's like nothing ever happened. And Hirosaka was singing again. Unfortunately, I've already used the CG, so... Well, technically I used the evening version of it, so it would be slightly different. I was going to say quote unquote. There's nothing to quote. It would be slightly different, but yeah. If I'm desperate enough, maybe. The December air was cold, so I had my hands on in my coat pockets as I gazed at her from a little ways away. Huh? Something caught my attention, but there was nothing out of the ordinary. Hirosaka singing had quite the reputation. Just standing at a street corner with a guitar like this had caused a small crowd to gather. It was mostly office workers on their way home and young people like us. The people smoking at the nearby smoking area seemed to be listening too. Then the sound of the guitar stopped. Hirosaka gave a small bow as the bystanders gave a light applause. The listeners tossed money into the guitar case in front of her and walked away. Nice work.
Wow, senpai, 来てたんですね.
When I walked to Hirosaka's side, she looked a little relieved. And when I mentioned it before, she insisted that she wasn't. But lately when I went to her side, there were times when she certainly looked like it. Yeah, I was just out for a walk when I heard you singing. Incidentally, I had been studying for upcoming exams. Finals would be starting next week. But I got tired from studying, so I was loitering around the town until the pretense of taking a walk and replenishing my coffee supply. Yeah, under the pretense of taking a walk. In the reusable bag I was holding, there were about 5 cans of my favorite coffee. Boss coffee. Want one? I took out a can and held it out to Hirosaka.
微糖は好きじゃありません.
Well, you know, he does get the straight black version. Even this isn't enough. I thought the slightly sweetened coffee was still plenty sweet. Never mind, my joke fell flat on its face immediately. But Hirosaka apparently had such a sweet tooth that she couldn't drink it unless it had both milk and sugar in it. Or a maraschino. Listen, I am coming off of... Well, not coming off of Amara chocolate, but, you know, it's only been like a week since I finished Amara chocolate, and when they bring up coffee, I can't not think of it. Especially in the situation of a character not liking bitter coffee and needing it to be overly sweet. Because there were a few characters in Amara Chocolate who also needed their coffee to be very sweet. And maraschino was always the solution to that problem. Then how about this? But from the depths of the bag, I brought out one more can. It was tea with condensed milk, a beverage I would certainly never drink myself. Hirosaka perked up a response.
なんで先輩は自分でそんな甘いの飲まないくせにそんなもの買ってるんですか?
You know, no reason. I may or may not have been thinking about you when I bought this. Oh, I just bought it because I thought you might come hang out at my place today or tomorrow.
確かに、今日あたり、歌い終わったら行こうと思ってましたけど。
I know this is a dream version of Keiko, and this is definitely not her usual self. But if this is how she would act, if Keiko and Toru were dating, I wouldn't hate it. With a mildly irked look, Hirosaka took the can of tea from my hand. It had been under all the other cans of coffee, so it was still pretty warm.
いただきます。
You're welcome. I opened the coffee Hirosaka had refused and took a drink. For a while, we both sipped out at our drinks in silence.
ところで私が言うのもなんですけど、先輩はこんなところフラフラしてていいんですか？
What do you mean, wandering around?
言ったままの意味です。テスト来週からじゃないですか。またサボってたんですか？
I wasn't slacking off. It was a walk for a change of pace. Also, I saw my girlfriend singing when she too had upcoming exams, so I got worried.
そうですか。
It's nothing to worry about. That's what I thought she would say, but Hirosaka looked a little happy, and she looked up at me with upturned eyes. Her expression made my heart skip a beat.
心配をかけてるのは悪いと思うんですが、私は歌ってないとダメなんです。
I know, but like I said, exams are starting soon. She was singing in a place like this even though exams were starting next week. You know, Hirosaka, you're kind of like the grasshopper in The Ant and the Grasshopper. I said suddenly, after seeing Hirosaka singing in the cold. Hirosaka's expression didn't change.
私がキリギリスなら、その歌を聴いていた先輩は何ですか？アリなのに働いてないんですか？キリギリスは歌っている分、サボっているアリよりも人生を楽しんでるんじゃないでしょうか。
Hirosaka gave a light chuckle through her nose.
大丈夫なんですか？
That's my line. Even if I am an ant who isn't working, the grasshopper dies in the winter because it didn't collect any food, right? The ant could at least survive by mooching off its fellow ants. Of course, if it got abandoned by those ants, then it would die.
大丈夫ですよ。
You'll be fine. You really do talk like the grasshopper.
いえ、あんな根拠のない自信で投資した虫と一緒にされるのは心外なんですが。
Well, you know, your text is green, grasshoppers are green. It just makes sense.
以前、学園長がおじだから見逃されてるという話はしたと思います。
Yeah, you did.
けど、こういうことをしていても見逃されてるのって、多分それだけじゃないんですよ。
Don't tell me that your grades are hopelessly bad.
逆です。私基本的に成績は学年上位ですし、いくつかの科目ではトップですから。
Yeah, I don't know why Toru immediately assumed that she was failing all her classes. You would think she was, you know, she would be acing every test. What the?
何ですかそのわざとらしい驚き方は。
Or maybe he's just projecting. It's not an act. The top, huh?
成績も8位以下なんて取ってませんし。
Grades at Suikyo were given on a 1 through 10 scale. Naturally, the higher the number, the better the grade. Why? Grades at Suikyo were given on a 1 through 10 scale. Uh-huh. I mean... if we're comparing between a 1 through 10 scaling grade system or the GPA, and I guess like the letter system, you know, A through F. There's more options. The range is greater, I guess. I don't know. That's not just subjects you're good at, is it?
ええ、全部ですけど。
Hirosaka said casually. I doubted Hirosaka would lie like that, but nothing lower than an 8. Did that mean her average were 9s and 10s? That's amazing, Hirosaka. Does that mean even PE is a 9 or a 10?
ですから文句も言えないじゃないでしょうか。
Certainly if she had an 8 or higher in all subjects, and she was the school president's niece, as long as she wasn't particularly breaking a school rule, there was no reason for them to scold her for singing on the street, especially this late at night.
ついでに言うと、もう大学受験のための勉強や資格も取り始めてますから。
Eh? Hirosaka, you're in the same grade as Saki, right? 2 grades below me. I felt like it was a little early to be thinking about going to college.
そうですけど何か。
You're in Annex 3rd year. Shouldn't you be studying to enter the main school first? Although it was already the 2nd semester of her 3rd year, so she was probably in the final stretch of those studies.
もう学校側が香港にぜひ来てくれって言ってますから。
Also not surprising. Well, there are plenty of other schools more elite than Suikyo. It would certainly be possible to change schools when she was done with annexed. Sure. And with her grades, she could probably get a recommendation.
なんでしたら、科目次第では先輩の勉強くらいなら見られると思いますよ。
What do you mean depending on the subject? I thought you were good at all of them. Well, that. Just a while ago, I'd been worried about my underclassman/girlfriend singing on the street, and yet now she was offering to help me study. Surely, you know, I'm sure Toru knows that this is a dream and all, or maybe, he's just waiting to reveal that he knows this is a dream. But before that, surely, I know Keiko would probably help him with his studies after the dream is over, but that's gonna take a while. That's gonna take a while before Keiko warms up to Toru enough to actually help him with his studies. So, like, why not take advantage of the situation? You know what? Why not take advantage of the situation and get help from Dream Keiko?
どうします？
I don't know how that would work though, considering this isn't the real Keiko. When she said that, for the time being, are you coming to my place now?
そうですね。そのつもりでしたし。
So, like, obviously, she wouldn't have the same knowledge base as Keiko, right? Hirosaka threw her empty can into the trash can. There was a nice clang as the can fell inside. A cold breeze was tormenting us as we got to my apartment.
先輩、シャワーは浴びてこなくていいんですか？
I'll take one before bed.
いえ、私が。
A conflicted feeling passed through my mind, but I'm not letting you stay the night tonight. Hirosaki gave a look of dissatisfaction. We have school tomorrow. What were you planning to do even though you didn't bring a clean uniform?
確かにそうなんですけど。
Hirosaka pouted. There was no way I could let her stay.
まあ、とりあえず見た限り、先輩も真面目に勉強していたようですけど。
Hirosaka said as she looked at the study materials spread out on my desk. Unlike you and Claude Prez, I'm just a normal student. I have to study seriously before tests. The arts was my worst subject, and even though I wasn't as bad as Saki was at science, I could never relax before a test.
今やってたのは古文ですか。これなら得意な分野ですし、お手伝いできると思いますよ。
Hirasaka picked up the open textbook. Hirasaka, you don't really look like the type who's fond of studying.
別に好きなわけではないですが、必要なことでしたから。
Why did she need to do it? I thought I knew the reason, but for some reason, I knew the reason. I thought I knew the reason, but for some reason, I didn't know the reason. I didn't know what it was anymore.
けれど、これは。
What? I figured she'd look over my answers when we got here, but Hirasaka made a sour face as she looked at my past homework papers.
もしかしなくても、先輩古文苦手なんですか？
I'm fundamentally bad at subjects that can't be solved with numbers. I didn't do accounting and drafting in the science club for nothing. I could do it, and I was good at it, so I had accepted it.
そうですか。
Hirasaka seemed to be thinking as she looked at my desk. So why do you need to study, Hirasaka?
それは当然、行きたい大学があるからです。
Gee, I wonder why they skipped over the reason. It's almost like the dream version of Keiko doesn't know the actual reason why real Keiko needs to study. It needs to study so much. Because okay, here's how I imagine Maya is able to recreate a version of Keiko that's close enough to the actual Keiko, and it's just through basically extracting her memories. Right? That's obviously what the dream is able to do. But considering the fact that we saw that static, clearly the dreams weren't able to extract all the memories, especially not the ones that are very closed off, very much locked away from everyone. You know, the types of memories that you would prefer to never remember. So, you know, the trauma ones. Did Hirasaka really try to say that just now? I felt like something strange had happened. I knew the reason for that. But why did it weigh on my mind? I knew that too.
先輩、相談があるんです。
Okay, what's that? Hirasaka's voice brought me back to my senses. Brought me back to senses.
先輩は私よりも2年早く卒業してしまいますよね。
Well, I am 2 grades above you after all.
その後も、一緒にいたいと思うのはダメですか？
What are you saying? I want to be with you too, of course.
よかった。
Hirasaka looked relieved, but I doubted that was all she wanted to talk to me about. You wanted to ask me something that obvious?
いえ、違います。そうじゃなくて、先輩は行きたい大学とかないんですか？
I haven't really thought about it yet. Although I've been told that I should go to college, so I'm thinking maybe I'll go to a science one.
なら、私が行こうかと思って勉強している大学があるんですけれど、そこで、待っていてもらうわけにはいきませんか？
Hey, sorry to say this when you're saying that so apologetically, but could I even get accepted by the sort of college you would want to get in? Would want to go to?
理系なら、まあ、なんとか目はあると思いますけど。
A chance, huh? Like I keep saying, having my 2 years younger annexed campus girlfriend talk to me about college like this was... I couldn't express it.
私も、もともとあまり上を目指すわけではなくて、推薦で行こうと思っていた程度ですから。
I see.
嫌ですか？
I have a feeling the reason why she's so hell-bent on studying and I mean, okay, I feel like because of her family would be too obvious of a reason. I mean, maybe that's the point, because if you didn't know much about Keiko, you would know that she has family issues, but they're not that bad yet. Or at least they don't seem that bad. I don't know. It's not that I don't want to, but by the time you enter the school, I'll be a third year, right? Won't I be job hunting at that point?
すんなり決まるといいですね。
Wait, that's not the point.
というか、先輩はハスノさんの会社に入るんじゃないんですか?
Would he still be allowed to work at Hasuno's? Would he be allowed to work at Saki's company, Saki's dad's company, even though, well, the connection between Saki and Toru isn't through romantic relationship, so I guess, I guess there's no point in me questioning it. Why do you think that?
そのつもりだって、ハスノさんと高原さんに聞いたんですが。
What had they been talking about when I wasn't there? Well, it was true that ever since I started dating Hirosaka, Takahara had been excessively good at me, you could say.
そうやって先輩の就職先も決まっていれば、私も安心ですし。
Your family is rich, so I don't think you need to worry that much. Fucking flashbang, Jesus. After saying this, my vision got blurry for a second. Something was wrong. Something was wrong. Had been wrong for a while now. Hirosaka, you're planning on going to that college by recommendation, aren't you?
ええ、そうですけど。
Yeah, which college, huh? And then, why are you studying and getting qualifications?
それは。
And why do you sing so much? Hirosaka caught her breath. Your family is... Huh? Why? Come to think of it, the time you stayed here, you also... Hirosaka, you... Something was wrong. Singing in her guitar. Why was she doing so much? She didn't hate studying, but she said she had to do it. Hirosaka, what... Somehow or other... I felt like I found the words I needed to say. What do you think of your family?
どうって、私は別に。
The fog in my mind seemed to clear away. You haven't reconciled with your father, have you? Reconciled with your father, have you? I put the ellipses in the wrong places. I noticed that we hadn't touched on that subject for a while now. It was like she was just an honest student who loved singing, who wasn't worried about her family at all. If that was true, then Hirosaka would have been able to smile much more often. However, this is a dream where that stuff doesn't exist, isn't it? Ah. Right. That does exist. The reason why the static happened was because Keiko's actual reasoning as to why she quote-unquote had to study was due to familial issues that don't exist in the dream world. Right, okay, no, I get it now. I don't know why I went to... I don't know why I went immediately to trauma and acted like the dream world can't see that, like we didn't see Yoyoi's trauma. Okay, listen, forget everything I said before this. Suddenly my room in Hirosaka, The sense of reality faded from them as though they were drawings on paper. The world collapsed, as if melting into the air. Well, there goes the potential help in studying. And chapter 5. Interestingly enough, for Keiko and Yuyoi, this is the last choice. This is the last set of choices you can make. Because the choice you get in chapter 6 doesn't exist for Keiko and Yuyoi if you're going down either of their routes. But obviously obviously I have to pick Keiko. I was gonna make a joke, but yeah, I was gonna make a joke trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna obviously pick someone else, but yeah, no. The area in front of the train station had been elaborately decorated in preparation for Christmas. Once it got dark, the trees would be lit and the holiday atmosphere would be complete. Although the town was decked out and had a festive air about it, Hirosako played her guitar with a bored look on her face.
寒いです。
Then why even go outside? I was sitting on the bench next to her, sipping at my hot coffee. Despite us being on break from school, Hirosaka still wore her uniform, and she had brought her guitar with her as usual. It looked like she wasn't going to singing today, since she had just been strumming her guitar.
いいえ、こんなわけのわからない状況ですから、歌わないとやってられません。
You really like to sing, don't you?
好きです。こればかりは胸を張って言えます。
This is like the opposite of the other CG, where I already used the CG, but the nighttime version of it. With a deep breath, Hirosaka finally started singing in tune with the guitar, as though she were trying to adjust the instrument. Hirosaka sounded off in such a manner that it almost sounded like she was tuning her voice and not just that of the guitar. If I'm in your way, I can leave. I pointed the way we'd come, suggesting that I could leave before Hirosaka started singing, but she shook her head and stopped singing. I'm confused. Which point of the chapter is this meant to be? I mean, we're near the end, right, of chapter 5. But this isn't before Toru confronts... this is before Toru confronts Maya. Alright, blah 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 blah. Was there... Was there a small moment between Keiko and Toru before? How'd I say... When I went down Saki's route, or Maya's route, I guess. Yeah, I don't remember.
いいえ、別に。気にしないでください。
But I'm hindering your singing, aren't I?
きちんと歌う気はありませんから。ちょっと気晴らしに外に出て、鼻歌程度に歌ってるだけです。
Well, judging by Hirosaka's personality, she would probably outright tell me if I was getting in the way, so I decided to stay here. Did she say that you were getting in the way in the other route?
むしろお兄様も物好きですね。なんで寒い中私についてきたんですか?
Or did this scene not exist in the other routes? I got worried because you were silently going off somewhere on your own.
そうですか。別にほっといてくれてもよかったんですけど。
She plucked at the guitar strings. Am I in your way because you wanted to be alone?
いえ、別に。お兄様ならいてくれて構いませんし。
Or is this scene replacing a different one? Right? I mean, I shouldn't be surprised that each option would have a unique scene, right? That would replace the other ones, right? The other three scenes. That's a weird way of saying it. But yeah, I kind of forgot what Saki's scene was in the what Saki's scene was here. I kind of find it hard to believe if you sigh right after saying that.
呼び方のせいですよ。何を土地狂ったのか。よりによってお兄様だなんて呼び方をしなくてもいいと思いません。
You were raised well, so you can't help it, right? Although she had said it herself just a while ago, when I said it, she glared at me. Can't you change it by yourself somehow? Like, Club Prez switched off pretty skillfully, didn't she? She normally called me Toru ni, but in front of acquaintances, she called me Toru ni-sama. Her facade was pretty close to perfect, right down to her attitude.
ああ、そうですね。まったく。私もあれくらい猫をかぶるのがうまければ、他の呼び方ができるのかもしれません。
But it looked like Alice was capable of not calling me her brother, so it might just be a case of how much influence one had in the dream.
年考えろって思います。自分の方が年上だし、どう見ても妹ってタイプじゃないくせに。
That's true. Club Prez is more like a big sister than a little one, because she is a big sister. But it's one of the rules of the dream, so it can't be helped. Club Prez isn't calling me that because she wants to either, probably. Club Prez did look like she was enjoying it, so I couldn't be too confident in saying that she wasn't. You're calling me that too, so you should cut her a break.
そうですね。不本意ですが。
Well, I'm sure you don't like having to call me that. I'm sorry. Suddenly being made into someone's little sister would make anyone want to complain, wouldn't it?
いえ、別にお兄様が兄であることはそんなに嫌ではないんですけど。
I'm sure you wouldn't, but that is in the same way as Saki, and Saki kind of didn't want to be Toru's little sister. She wanted to be his girlfriend. So, is that the same for you? I'm relieved to hear that.
いえ、本当に。私、昔から兄弟なら兄が欲しかったんです。あいにく、自分が長女ですから、親にねだるのはやめましたけど。
You didn't want a little brother or sister?
はい。下は面倒を見るのが面倒です。
I see. So Hirosaka wanted a big brother by process of elimination? I wondered how she'd react to a big sister, but after seeing Hirosaka in with Club Prez, I get the feeling I knew what that would be like. Yeah, but like, you know, you're always in a unique situation where she likes to mask. Right, where she likes to put on a mask in front of everyone except for Toru, and now the rest of the girls here. But that Onisama name, it really does sound like something a well-raised young lady would say.
私、一応そのカテゴライズに含まれてるんですが。
That's true.
そう扱わないでくれるのは嬉しいんですけど、少しイラッとしますね。
You just don't seem like one at all, and I didn't realize you wanted to be. I didn't realize you wanted Toru to treat you like one. When I heard young lady, I thought of Saki. Was that because she was so close to me? Or it might also be because because they call her Milady at the company.
これでも私、ピアノや日本舞踊に生け花も習ってるんですけど、 着物の着付けだってできますよ。
Yeah, you know all of the... You know the arts. Sorry, you don't look like it at all. I'd seen her reading sheet music before, and I thought she might be able to play instruments instruments other than the guitar. But traditional Japanese dance and flower arranging were pretty far removed from my mental image of Hirosaka.
だから、着物を脱がされても、自分で着付け直せるんですよ。
What? What do you mean by that? Hirosaki stared at me such that I couldn't easily tell what she was thinking. Yeah, why did you say it like that, and why are you looking at me like that when you said it? Normally a young lady like you wouldn't say something so suggestive.
そうですね。今のはわざとやってるんですけど。
I gathered that. Why would you say something like that? Why wouldn't the girls around me let me dream? I mean, it was my fault for imagining taking a kimono off Hirosaka and thinking that was pretty nice.
おしとやかな。いかにも大和なでしこなお嬢様が、お兄様の好みなんですか？
No, I kind of dislike that, I guess. Ladylike types really made me feel like I was causing them to be too conscientious towards me. So I disliked that a little.
そうですよね。お兄様は女の人に虐げられて、苦労をかけられて喜ぶタイプみたいですし。
No, that's not true. No, that is true. Yayoi, Maya, and Saki are perfect examples of that. Certainly I would rather have someone cause trouble for me than for me to cause trouble for them.
ほんと、お兄様はお人よしですね。
Hirosaka laughed softly through her nose and continued strumming her guitar. I didn't know what more to say, so I ended up making a sour face.
今日はどうにも調子が悪いですね。
I didn't know whether it was because I was in the way, or if that had nothing to do with it, or it's because of the dream. I guess she didn't feel like singing because she sped up her guitar playing. I was familiar with the original song, but it wasn't a song meant to be played this fast. Maybe she's playing the Nightcore version. There were parts where notes were skipped or missed, but she played it so well that those seemed like trivial matters. That's pretty amazing.
そうですか。真面目に練習していないから、あちこち音が飛んでますけど。
You don't practice. She didn't seem like she was that serious about it, so I thought it was kind of amazing that she could play like that. But Hirosaka didn't boast, nor did she look particularly enthusiastic.
ギターは嫌いじゃないですけど、仕方なく弾いてる楽器ですから。どうにも思い入れがないんです。
What do you mean, out of necessity?
本当は歌だけ歌いたいんですけど、アカペラはしっくりこなくて、それで選んだ楽器がギターなんです。本当はピアノの方が得意なんですけど、キーボードって持ち運びが不便じゃないですか。
Hirosaka was no longer paying attention to her guitar. She was just talking to me like she always did. Her guitars were guitars and other instruments really things that you could play out of necessity? My only experience with instruments were for classes at school, but I didn't think they were that easy. As I was thinking that, Hirosaki started moving her fingers again. Apparently, she did have fun playing her guitar. Well-played songs came one after the other. I followed Hirosaka's gaze and saw that she was looking at the big monitor in front of the station. Ads for groups of singers flowed by on the electric signboard above us. There was a local advertisement for the Christmas concert they would be doing on the live stage at the nearby park this Christmas. Is that what Keiko is going to do in Chapter 6? Apparently, Hirosaka had been playing the songs of the participants of that concert. More people than usual had stopped to listen to Hirosaka's guitar, though some were standing a bit far away. Maybe Hirosaka's playing really was amazing.
あれ、 今年の水郷ライブってこんなに豪華なメンバーでしたっけ？
Hirosaka murmured without stopping. I wonder. I don't know who was originally scheduled, so I'm not sure.
急にシカケンが奮発したんでしょうかね。普段ならソロでクリスマスライブを開いている人たちが結構います。
There were performers I was familiar with among them too. It looked like they would be gathering and doing a Christmas concert at Suikyo City. In Suikyo City. You're really knowledgeable about that as well. Until she had said something I hadn't noticed at all.
ええ、一応。音楽は好きですから。
She started playing the guitar even faster. But she herself didn't look any different. You look like you're having fun.
歌ってる間はそれだけで良くなりますから。それに、歌なら反抗的なことをどれだけ言っても、誰も文句言いませんし。
Could it be that you like rock?
いいですね、ロックンロール。
That just seemed so appropriate that I laughed.
お兄様、何か文句あるんですか？
No, not at all. Yes, rock and roll is nice.
何か含みを感じますけど。音楽をバカにしているみたいじゃないんで、許します。
Thanks for that. Hirosaki stopped playing when the advertisements ended. After some sparse clapping, a few small tips were tossed into the guitar case, which had been left open this time. Hirosaki bowed her head slightly and gathered up the change before putting her guitar in its case and standing up.
お兄様、やっぱり外寒いです。
It's because you're dressed like that.
そうなんですけど、なんでこんなに寒いんですか？
I thought it was because it was winter, but today was especially cold, even for that. Come to think of it, they were saying it's going to snow on Christmas, so maybe that's why. Now that the advertisements had ended, the weather report was saying that it might start snowing the day before Christmas.
うわ、雪なんて降ったら、面倒なのにホワイトクリスマスとか余計に面倒じゃないですか。
Hirosaka, don't you think that's a little too salty of a thing for a student to say?
思いません。確かに雪は綺麗ですけど、わざわざカップルのセックスの演出装置に使われてるかと思うと余計にげんなりします。
If I had any of the coffee left, I'm sure I would have choked and spat it out by now. Hey, Hirosaka.
何ですか？
Looking entirely unapologetic, Hirosaka moved her money offerings to her coin purse.
お兄様は何飲みますか？
Drinks on me. I was listening the whole time after all.
じゃあ、ここは、いえ、ブラックでお願いします。
Huh? Why did she change the coffee? Coffee would just make her run to the bathroom in this cold. But I didn't feel like saying that, so along with my new drink, I bought Hirosaka's and came back.
どうもです。
Hirosaka rolled the hot can between her hands, seemingly unsure as to what to do with it. Maybe her hands were numb since she seemed to be warming them up with the canned coffee. My attention drifted to her thin, pale but pretty fingers. She didn't always look like she had a notable upbringing, especially when she was holding her guitar. But right now, at first glance, she definitely looked like a young lady from a well-to-do family.
それでお兄様がココアなのは当てつけか何かですか？
Seeing the hot chocolate with milk in my hands, Hirosaka's eyes narrowed. I just had a coffee, so I didn't want more. Do you want to trade?
いえ、こっちでいいです。ココアは甘ったるいですから。
Uh-huh. Hirosaka looked away irritably, but was she really glad that was she really glad she didn't go with hot chocolate? Anyway, I'm surprised you felt like singing in this cold. No matter how much I wanted a diversion, I would want to stay inside as much as possible.
さすがにこの寒さだと思ったよりもやる気が出なかったので。 私もこれからは控えようかと思ってます。
The way Hirosaka was sipping at her coffee definitely didn't look like she was enjoying herself.
ただ、クリスマスにお兄様がどっか行ってしまうなら、この辺で一人うさばらしに歌ってもよいかと。
Is Keiko feeling insecure when about Tori saying she didn't look like a young lady, so she wants to act more mature by drinking black coffee instead of hot chocolate? Come on, Keiko. We know you like sweet drinks. We know you like sweets, especially more than coffee. What do you mean to feel better?
あの人も言っていたけど、プライドの問題です。まあ、相手が蓮野さんなら納得といったところですが。
Saki, huh?
どうしたんですか?
Actually, I'm more worried about you singing by yourself on Christmas Eve. What if some weirdo approaches with something other than your music in mind?
わざわざ雪が降るかもしれないのに、来ますかね?
It wouldn't be strange if they did. Hirosaka was a looker, and with the season being what it was, you could expect there to be guys trying to hit on her.
それが心配だったら、私と一緒に過ごしてくれますか?
When you say it's a matter of pride, you're just competing with the club press, aren't you? Is it okay to spend Christmas with me because of that?
過ごしたくない相手と一緒にいたい、なんて、普通は思いませんよ。
Yeah, normally.
確かに私は、ほとんど面識のない男の部屋でシャツ一枚になるような女ですけど。
I nodded, trying my best not to remember that time. To be honest, I think maybe it would be nice if everyone was together. Hey, what's with that look? Hirosaki gave me an extremely annoyed look. I could tell she was going to make fun of me.
それはつまり、全員まとめて相手にしたいと。お兄様はハーレム願望でもあるんですか?
I mean, yes, but that isn't an option, so I can't choose that. I can't have a harem. I'm not allowed to. No. Do you think I have the guts to do that? I thought she would say that's true, but...
あってもおかしくないですよね。どちらかというと、解消というより、一人に決められない浮気症的なだらしなさですが。
I mean, he did have that one dream where all of the girls were naked around him. Well, I mean, not naked, but they had their tits out. But at the same time, that was the dream that turned him into a girl. Twice. Hey.
もしも彼女ができても、雨に濡れた子猫がいれば懐に入れて連れて帰りそうです。にゃー。
Said the kitten I really had taken home. No, I would think about what I should do.
そうですか。
She didn't believe me at all.
大体ですね。みんな一緒がいいとか、私が心配だから相手をしてくれるとか、そんなこと言ってて、蓮野さんは怒らないんですか?
She would, no doubt about it. Normally, she would just emit a cold aura as she smiled, but if it went too far, she would rage like a normal person. She threw pillows and stuff. She got mad like it was a fight between siblings.
怒らせて楽しみたいんですか?
I'm not warped enough to be able to enjoy her getting mad at me. I did enjoy seeing her a little pouty, though. But Saki and I aren't in a normal man and woman relationship. I wouldn't say that I didn't mind it, or that it didn't exist, but we definitely had a more significant relationship than that.
それって、お兄様の言う兄と妹ってやつですか?
Yes, Saki's very important to me as a sister, in some cases as important as my life. That wasn't a lie or exaggeration on my part. If I could save Saki by giving up my life, then I would choose that in a heartbeat. That's how important Saki was to me.
だけど実は血は繋がってない幼馴染なんですよね。
That's right. Then what about Saki as a girl? My response to that question was on hold. I guess I couldn't complain if I were called an enemy of women or stabbed. I was at least that self-aware.
もしもクリスマス、私と一緒に過ごしてくれた場合。 蓮野さんの行為から逃げるための防波堤にされてるってことになるんでしょうか。
I don't mean to associate with you for my own convenience like that.
同じことです。そんな理由でクリスマスイブに女の子を誘うとか、どうなんですか。
I'm sorry.
悪意がある分余計に立ちが悪い。知ってますかお兄様。そういうの、ろくでなしって言うんですよ。
At those all too appropriate words, I sank down on the bench and sighed.
大体、何がもっと立ちが悪いって。そんな理由でも、お兄様に選ばれたら私がそんなに嫌じゃないってところですよ。
Still looking away from me, Hirosaka sighed in resignation, seeming annoyed at herself. I wonder if someday I'm going to get stabbed by a woman and die.
なんならいいところで刺しましょうか。
Not yet. I'd rather honestly tell you that I've been silent about what I've been silent about and have you hit me.
じゃあぜひ正直にどうぞ。なんか他に、こうして私と一緒にいる理由があるんですよね。
I already said most of it, and just as you guessed, I'm just troubling myself because how I treat Saki is just convenient for me.
だけどお兄様、蓮野さんのことは妹とか関係なく好きですよね。
Yeah, if it weren't for problems we both have, I think we could become a couple. We would have become a couple. But those problems were just so big that they would probably remain no matter what.
問題がなければ恋人同士になってるなんて当たり前じゃないですか。何を言っているんです。
The scales fell from my eyes at Hirosaka's words. That much was true.
そこはいいです。で、なんで私なんですか。あまり比べたくないですけど、あの女のそばでもいいじゃないですか。
I learned some things during Club Prez's nightmare recently, so it's hard to be with her. And also, I've already been with her twice, I think. After learning those things, I wasn't thick-skinned enough to be able to be alone with Club Prez and look like nothing happened. Oh, she's talking about Club Prez. I haven't been with her yet. And I'm not going to be yet. Never mind.
ああ、そのあたりは私の時と一緒なんですね。
Yeah. Although with you, I charged through destroying everything, so I hardly saw anything. I mean, you did see stuff. Just nothing traumatic. Hirosaka nodded as she listened to me, but it seemed that I'd still seen things that were embarrassing to her. Well, you're in a perfect position to put distance between me and Saki and Club Prez. There probably weren't any girls who would have liked to hear something like that.
お兄様、他に友達いないんですか。
But what came back was a pitying gaze. He does have friends. The problem is Tetsuya's probably going to be hanging out with Asahi more. Is going to be hanging out with Asahi over Christmas. I do, but I would rather be with a cute underclassman than a guy. Especially with a guy who's going to be hanging out with his girlfriend the whole time. What would happen if I complained to Tetsuya? That wasn't a problem as guy friends, but most of his replies would be bragging about Asahi. And there was a chance that Club Prez might hear about it through Asahi. When I thought of that... wait.
やっぱりお兄様はいつか女に刺されて死ぬと思います。
Is that something to say while sighing?
全然そう見えないくせに何ですか。蓮野さんが心配してる気持ちが少しわかりました。このろくでなし。可愛いとか、無責任すぎます。
Even though her tone and attitude were calm, seeing the red-faced Hirosaka was so rare that it was a little hard to react to her. I didn't know what to do. But she stood up and reached her hand out to me.
寒いです。どっか行きましょう。
Yeah, let's do that. If she wasn't going to sing anymore, then there was no reason to linger in front of the station in this cold anymore. I took her hand and stood up.
今回は その子を選ぶのね。
Shut up, Maya. Stop being meta. I suddenly heard Maya's voice. Next thing I knew, Maya was standing a little ways away from the crowd, just beyond the scattering people. Immediately, the presence of her surroundings, of our surroundings, grew weak. It felt like only the three of us had any color here. A thick, sweet smell permeated the air around us. It was so dense that it clung to us and couldn't be shaken off.
そうやって手を取って、今度はどこまで歩けるかしら。一緒に行く相手はその子でいいの？
I wanted to call out to Maya, but my throat was so dry that my voice wouldn't come out. My voice was getting dry too. I was holding hands with Hirosaka, who was right next to me, yet I couldn't feel her presence, even though the palm of her hand was right there.
話さないでいられるかしら。ただ手を取っただけなの？それとも、それ以上の気持ちがあったの？
I giggled. My surroundings gave way to a dark forest. The sweet smell intermingled with the smell of the trees. Is this a fucking test or something? Or are we transitioning back into common route stuff?
今度はうまくいくといいわね。
Clearly not yet, because there isn't any indication that this is text I've already read. Maya giggled as if looking down on me.
その手を離さないでね、お兄ちゃん。
My world collapsed. The surroundings became wrapped in darkness. What? Next thing I knew, I was in the forest. Brother, you were in the forest here. What do you mean? Sure, okay. I guess that's one way to transition back into the common around stuff. Oh. You skipped over what Keiko was going to say.
どうして忘れてるのよ。
You know,
すいません、ハスノさん。どいてください。
Yeah, let Keiko take over, because I like Keiko more in this version, this route. Hirosaka, who had been standing behind Saki, pushed her out of the way.
こういう人は言葉で言う前にこうしないとダメです。
Just as she said, she raised her fist and slammed it into my cheek as hard as she could. Hirosaka, what are you doing? She hit me so hard my vision went white for a moment.
何じゃありません。しっかりしてください。バカですか？いいえ、バカです。何してるんですか？
Hirosaki shouted at me without unclenching the fist she had used to hit me. What are you...
わけのわからない妄想でハスノさんを泣かせて、先輩はそんなにだらしない。しっかりしてない人だったんですか？失望しました。
That's because She hit me again, interrupting me. She seemed to be comfortable with physical violence. My head didn't move even though it hurt like hell. It made me dizzy. I could at least still see in front of me. Hirosaka was really mad and grabbed me by the collar.
人に偉そうに夢に逃げるなって説教してきたくせに、自分が今何をしてるのかも分かってないなんて、最低だって言ってるんですよ。平坂さん。私が夢でいい、これでいいって言った時、人の気も知らないでって怒りましたよね。それは自分だって逃げたかったから怒ったんですか？私ばかり逃げてずるかったんですか？妬んでたんですか？そんな理由で私を連れ戻しに来たんですか？
You're wrong. My head hurt. I remembered going to wake Hirosaka up. What was I thinking then? Why did I think that it was wrong to run away into a dream? When I tried to remember the reason, my head hurt like it was being split open from the inside.
何が違うんですか？私たちには見えもしない妹がそんなに欲しかったんですか？大事だったんですか？
That's not what... Thinking that I was arguing with her, Hirasaka clenched her fist again.
平坂さん、もうやめて。
Before Saki could stop her, Hirasaka, who had lowered her head, unclenched her fist and let it fall to her side. Still holding my collar, she slumped down in front of me as I sat on the bed.
結局、逃げたかったんですか？現実嫌なんですか？何でも望みの叶う夢の方がいいんですか？
Drops fell onto the floor.
私、最後まで夢に逃げなかったのは先輩たちがいたからなんですよ。あの女は頭にくるし、先輩は変な人だし、だけど二人とも私を相手に付き合ってくれて、だからこっちに戻ってもいいと思ったのに、どうして先輩が私を置いて無責任に一人で逃げようとしてるんですか？幻滅しますよ。
Hirasaka's words shook me to my core. I felt like I could almost remember something. I could almost remember something with my splitting head. It's a dream, so it doesn't matter what. I was confused. What was wrong with dreams? What were dreams anyway? I was running away. What was with the place I was running to? Yeah, what was with the place I was running to? No, where was I running to? Why was this wrong? I didn't know anymore, but I did know that something wasn't right.
先輩はかっこよくなくても、憧れとかそういうのもなくても、だけど頼れる相手でいてほしかったのに、その先輩までこんなんじゃ。現実なんてやっぱりどうでもいいんです。楽しくないです。結局私は誰も頼れないんですか？
No, that's not right. Why was I even making Hirasaka cry? Why was this happening? I couldn't intend to do that. Saki, I can't remember. I know something is strange.
兄さん。
Saki calling me that made me confused again. Who is my sister? Why do you call me? Where is Maya? Maya was gone. That really scared me, but it also sounded right for some reason.
何を言ってるんですか？先輩に妹なんて蓮野さんしかいないじゃないですか。
Saki is my sister, but Maya goes to the same school as you guys. Even her uniform is... Even as I said it, I knew it wasn't possible. But at the same time, I felt like it was true. Hirasaka, is Saki my only sister? Is Maya...
蓮野さんだけです。
Then why is Maya... Hey, Saki... I knew there would be no going back if I said this. But even though I didn't want to admit it, my mouth moved on its own. Is Maya... dead? At those words, Saki nodded, her eyes still filled with tears. But I don't know. If Maya's dead, I didn't see her dead. How could she be...
覚えてるでしょ。マヤちゃんは帰ってこなかったのよ。
Didn't come back?
あの時、夜中、二人ともいなくなって、何日もして兄さんだけ帰ってきて、マヤちゃんは結局戻ってこれなくて。なのに、目を覚ました兄さんは、マヤちゃんがそばにいるって言って。 まるでそうやって振る舞って、そのうちどんどん目を覚ましている時間が短くなっていって。
Only I came back from the forest. Maya wasn't there.
私たちといることが夢だなんて言い出して、眠っている時が本当だって言って、そんなわけないのに、逃げて。
Maya wasn't with me. But I still had memories of being with Maya. When I woke up, Maya was definitely there. But I also remembered Saki's crying face.
先輩、しっかり思い出してください。私も蓮野さんもここにいます。けれど、あの子は、本当にいるんですか？
Maya was. Even though she had been there just a second ago, now there was no trace of her. Was that it? Why? What happened? Why was I able to accept that? Even though I should have remembered, I couldn't at that moment, even though I knew it was true. Maya isn't here. She isn't here. I was finally able to accept that. In an instant, the world grew dark like that of the inside of the forest.
遊びましょ。あなたと一体何をして遊べばいいんですか？そうね。小さい子供なら鬼ごっこにかくれんぼ。大人になっても面白いかもしれないわ。遠慮します。そう言うと思った。なら、女の子同士らしく、恋の話とか、好きな人の話とか。バカバカしい。そんなことをあなたとする理由がない。やっぱりそう言うと思ったわ。じゃあ、例えば、あの人の話は？稽古の先輩のお話。なんで、あなたとそんな話をするんですか？だって、私と稽古には他に一緒にできるお話がないんだもの。私も音楽は好きだわ。とても綺麗で、残酷で、人の心を揺らし動かす、とても危ないもの。だから大好き。だけど、稽古みたいに知識はないわ。そういった語り合いを私はできない。ええ。それに価値観も違うようですし。そうね。だから先輩の話をしましょう。私、これでもあの人のことはよく知ってるのよ。稽古の知りたいことだって答えられるかも。興味ありません。あら、残念。だけど本当にいいの？ええ。聞きたいことがあれば本人から聞きますし。そうでなければ別にどうでもいいことですから。どうでもいいか。本当はどうなのかしら。バカにしてるわけじゃないの。だけど稽古って何に対してもどうでもいいでしょ？じゃあ一体あなたの望むものはどこにあるのかしらって。どういう意味ですか？あれもやだ、これもやだ。苦いものを無理やりに食べる必要はないわ。私だって嫌だって言っちゃう。だけど、じゃあ稽古は何なら甘くて美味しいのかしらって思って。さあ、どうなんですかね。あら、それも教えてくれないの？教えてどうなるんですか？そうね。例えば、この夢の中だけは稽古の苦いものをなくしてあげられるかも。甘い、楽しい、素敵な世界。それを用意することができるわ。どう？現実なんて冷たい場所を少しでも忘れられるかも。本来なら、くだらない、どうせ夢は夢だ、なんていうところですけど。少しだけ興味があります。本当？なら言ってみて。できることなら何でもしてあげるから。なら一つだけ。この世界のギターを現実と同じものにできますか？どういうことかしら？思った通りの音が出すぎるんです。チューニングも必要ない。鳴らせば鳴らしただけ望んだ音が出る。 それは素敵なことじゃないの？
まさか。そうなるように触るのが楽しいんじゃないですか。歌を歌いたいのに CD をかけているような苦痛です。
そっか。稽古にとってそのギターは甘いのね。
ま、そういうことになりますね。
なるほど。私はギターのことは全然わからないけど、多分できるわ。それこそ、稽古の望む通り、思い通りにならない現実を持ち込んであげる。自分で思い通りにしたいんでしょ？何かおかしなことを言った？思い通りになるのがつまらない。なら、自分の手で変えられるといいわね。